No. Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama, right here in downtown Northport. This is the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. You're hanging out with me on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You're listening to me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on Amazon. Go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review the program. Send it to a friend. Tell everybody how much you hate it, how much you love it. As we open up another week, it's going to be a fun week right here on the Joe Gaither Show. It's LSU week. LSU football coming to you live in Bryant-Denny Stadium, 6:45 on Saturday night, right there, CBS primetime. And that will be our focus for the week. It's going to be a lot of fun. We were over in the Naylor Stone Media Room earlier today with Coach Nick Saban, Jalen Milroe, and Deontay Lawson. So if you missed any of that, you can read about it right there at BamaCentral.com or check it out on the Bama Central Facebook page, Alabama Crimson Tide on Sports Illustrated. Check it out on the Bama Central Twitter page at Bama Central, or you can find us always at Bama Central SI on Instagram. You can find me at Joe Gaither6 on all the social media machines: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, all the social medias. You can find me at Joe Gaither6. Before we get into the show, we want to encourage you to find our friends Blue Collar Unplugged, the other Bama Central Broadcasting Network podcast. Blue Collar Unplugged brings you all things Alabama basketball related with Matthew Gibson, Jacob Pickle, and Blake Byler. And those guys are doing a great job. They put out their first episode of the new season last week, and they're going to be bringing you episodes, I think, each and every week, maybe bi-weekly, 2 weeks, two per week. I haven't really caught up with them. We're going to have to catch up with the Blue Collar Unplugged boys, get them onto the show very, very soon, one at a time or all three. If you missed them or you want to hear some of them, you can hear Matthew Gibson and Blake Byler from our SEC Media Days edition, 2 Wednesdays ago? 2 Wednesdays ago, we had a SEC Media Day edition right up there in Birmingham, and Blake Byler kicked off our show, and Matthew Gibson was about third or fourth up with all our great guests. We had Wimp Sanderson, Seth Greenberg, Commissioner Greg Sankey, Richard Hendricks, and many more right there on the show. You can check that out on all the platforms we've already outlined: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon. We archive each and every show. We'd love for you to check that out, as it was a kind of fun show that day. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about basketball, but we'll save it for a little bit later. Here's my topics for the day. I encourage you guys to jump in and join us on the comment section. Our topics for the day: LSU, obviously, that's the big deal today. Nick Saban opening up LSU week. Jalen Milroe and Deontay Lawson opening up LSU week. LSU dealing with some injuries. They're not going to be at full strength this weekend. The line has been moved a little bit from 6.5 down to 3.5. We're going to talk LSU first. We're going to talk about Alabama baseball. Alabama baseball finished their fall ball series on Saturday against Florida State. And we'll talk about Bama basketball. They lost a 19-point lead to Wake Forest and lost their second preseason scrimmage. So not good for them. We're going to talk about Colorado, just a little bit. Colorado football had kind of a bad incident that happened over the weekend. No, not necessarily, not them losing to UCLA. Yeah, their team is not that good, but they had an off the field incident that caught my attention as some wrongdoing. We're going to talk about Georgia and Florida as well, and we're going to talk about the new college football playoff rankings that will come out tomorrow night. So that's going to be the slate of the schedule today, and we hope you jump in and join it. I hope you enjoy it. Let's start with LSU, the Tigers, the Bayou Bengals. How about them Tigers? I know no Ed Orgeron over there anymore, but a lot of fun to, it's a great rivalry. It's a blast. And I cannot wait to be in Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday covering it for BamaCentral.com. Got the call from my man, Chris Walsh. I love you, Chris, but I got the dumbest question ever. Hey, do you want to be subbed in for Alabama LSU? I said, yes, I do. I don't want to bump anybody's spot because we have a great team at BamaCentral.com, but somebody had a last minute change and I got called off the bench. So yes, Chris Walsh, I would love to be inside Bryant-Denny Stadium covering the game, watching a clash between two great programs in the SEC. And honestly, I know we'll talk schedules as the season wears on, as the offseason kind of comes upon us, and we welcome Texas and Oklahoma in. But I hope, I hope you keep, you got to keep LSU for Alabama. You got to keep LSU or Alabama Auburn, and you got to keep Alabama Tennessee. Those three games, I know Coach Saban has been a little bit vocal about not wanting those three games as his permanent opponents because of the proclivity of LSU to be very, very good and the proclivity of either Auburn or Tennessee to be very, very good. One of those teams is usually pretty good, and some years they're both good. But no, you got to keep all three. You've already managed your way through the Tennessee week, 2 weeks ago. What a stressful and fun week that was. What a great event and great weekend that was, celebrating really the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry. And you got the bye week. We had a lot of fun last week talking to talking to you guys about a lot of different issues, a lot of different subjects, a lot of Michigan talk. But now it's on to LSU. Now, first, LSU dealing with a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the football. I know everybody's talking about LSU's offense. Jaden Daniels is what he is. He tore you up last year on the ground. He tore you up through the air. He is the number one. He's leading the NCAA in total offense. Number one with 3,200 yards, and second place is Michael Penix from Washington. He's been like lights out. He's easily been the best quarterback in the SEC. I love you, Jalen Milroe, but Jaden Daniels has been the best quarterback in the SEC this year, bar none, easily. I know you're going to have your Georgia fans saying Carson Beck, and maybe Ole Miss can talk about Jackson Dart, and yes, Jackson Dart did beat LSU. You can talk about, who else can you talk about really for best quarterbacks in the SEC? I guess Florida's really up on Graham Mertz, but he's meh at best. No, Jaden Daniels is by far and away the best quarterback in the SEC, and Alabama's defense is going to have its hands full once again. Coach Nick Saban talking today about Jaden Daniels and about their offense. And really, one thing that stood out to me is Coach Nick Saban in his pregame, in his Monday press conferences, he's always complimentary of the other team. He is. And that's great. He does that for his own team to take them seriously, but he does that also to be respectful. He's not really a trash talker, and he's a classy man. He's been around there for forever and ever. But one thing that stood out to me today in the Naylor Stone media room was he named Jaden Daniels. He named Malik Neighbors. He named he named Logan Diggs. He named nearly every LSU skill position player that the Tigers will roll out there on Saturday. This year, he hasn't done that so often. He usually highlights a quarterback. He usually highlights one player maybe on the opposing team and says, oh, well, they got a great quarterback and we're going to have to be ready for him. No, he highlighted about every single LSU skill position player this morning in the Naylor Stone media room. And I was a little not taken aback by that, but I noticed it a little bit. He talked about Kyron Lacey. He talked about Brian Thomas Jr. He hit up Mason Taylor as well, Jason Taylor's son. So, he's going to be very respectful, and he knows what this LSU offense has to bring to Bryant-Denny Stadium, and he knows what happened last year. A lot of broken plays. Jaden Daniels having a lot of broken plays and rushing, broken rushing lanes, getting out into the open creates a lot of problems for the Alabama defense. One thing that I think is going to be a huge difference this year, and we haven't really hammered it that much because Oh, Pete Golding got so much hell. Pete Golding got so much hell from this fan base, and I really, yeah, I really did think that Pete Golding got too much hell. But goodness gracious, the upgrade from Pete Golding to Kevin Steele, James Ludeman, what's going on? You can come play piano for me anytime you want to. No, the upgrade from Pete Golding to Kevin Steele has been tenfold, twofold, threefold. What is it? It's been a huge improvement. It's been a huge improvement on the fundamentals the fundamentals first, but secondly, the creativity that's happened on the defensive side of the football has been tenfold this year. You put on the film and you see blitzes coming from all over the place. You see guys playing multiple positions. You've seen Justin Aboigbe has played defensive end. He's played edge jack linebacker. He did a lot of that last week or 2 weeks ago against Tennessee, and I think that really that shows versatility and great coaching. You saw Malachi Moore playing in the star position, playing deep safety, plays outside linebacker. He's kind of played a little bit of everything. Deontay Lawson has done the same. So the coaching has been tenfold better under Kevin Steele than it was with Pete Golding. So I'm confident when we go into this matchup, and I know we've done this several times already, 8 times this year. On Monday, you feel some sort of way. On Friday, Saturday, you get to feeling some other sort of way. You ask me right now on a Monday, I think Alabama's going to beat the brakes off of LSU. I do. I think Alabama is going to have a nice double-digit win this weekend because of really the strength of the Alabama defense. The strength of the Alabama defense is strong enough to go toe-to-toe with the LSU offense. Now, will they shut them out? Absolutely not. Will they hold them to 10 points? I'll be shocked. Will they hold him to 20 points? That's about closer to the range. I think Alabama's going to hold him to about 24, 26 points on the ball on the day. And will that be enough? Will that be enough cushion for the Alabama offense to work against the LSU defense? Yes, I think so, because the LSU defense is bleeping terrible. They're awful. They've been awful all year long. They haven't really performed very well against nearly anyone. Sure, they shut out Army. They shut out Grambling. Great stuff, Tigers. They held Auburn. They held Auburn to 18 points. Great stuff. You're ranked 88th in defense. You're ranked 88th in defense because of what Florida State has done to you, because of what Ole Miss has done to you, because of what Arkansas has done to you. I mean, Arkansas walked up and down the field on you. And I know Arkansas had 2 good drives against Alabama as well at the end of the game and made the game much closer than it needed to be. But I really feel like this Alabama defense is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Jaden Daniels. You're going to have a better plan this year with Coach Kevin Steele and Coach Nick Saban kind of putting their heads together. And I like Robert Balla as well. I think Robert Balla brings a lot of energy, a lot of unidentified energy to this defense. Maybe not quite Scott Cochran level, but I think Robert Balla is a pretty nice little inside linebackers coach. So I think this defense is going to be able to stand toe-to-toe with LSU's offense. Maybe I'll change my mind later in the week. I'll watch more LSU tape throughout the rest of the week and get to know them a little bit more. And we're going to try to find some LSU beat writers to come on and join us, or radio men to come on and join us on the show. But I like what Alabama's bringing into this game. Maybe I'm blinded. Maybe I'm blinded by the second half game, the second half of the Alabama-Tennessee game, where Alabama played almost perfect. Almost perfect, really, almost perfect. The defense played pretty much perfect, 0 points, getting 2 fourth down stops in the second half, and really holding them down. And then the offense scoring 27 points. Yeah, they settled for 2 field goals, I believe, and the defense got themselves a touchdown as well. So pretty much perfect in the second half. And maybe I'm blinded by that second half performance, but I think that this Alabama team is on a roll. I think this Alabama team is trending in the right direction, trending up. And I think LSU is kind of meh. I think LSU kind of is what they are. Their defense has not really improved throughout the entire year. Like I said, 88th in total defense, 88th in passing defense, and that's with holding Grambling to 157 yards in passing. All Army, they threw the ball all over the yard, 42 yards of passing. And Auburn, you all know what they've been doing with Peyton Thorne, Robbie Ashford, and literally any quarterback who can throw the football. They only got 154 yards passing against LSU. So you held down three terrible passing offenses, but really, there's going to be a lot of room. There's going to be a lot of room for Jalen Milroe. There's going to be a lot of room for Jermaine Burton, for Isaiah Bond, for Kobe Prentice to really work in that secondary. Now, on top of that, LSU is dealing with a lot of injuries. They're dealing with injuries and suspensions. We'll say both, injuries and suspensions. Firstly, Mekhi Wingo. Mekhi Wingo, it was announced. Let me refresh that. Boom. Yeah, that's what I want. Mekhi Wingo was announced that he was going to be out. He had surgery during LSU's bye week. He's going to miss 4 to 6 to 8 weeks. And really, we hate that for everybody. We want health and wealth for everybody, even if they're our opponents. But no, Mekhi Wingo, lower body injury. He's been dealing with it all year. One of LSU's starters on the defensive line, out for the game, declaratively out. Zy Alexander, starting cornerback, out for the game. Also been dealing with an injury. He's going to likely miss extended time. Look, LSU hit the transfer portal very hard during the offseason because they needed to. They really didn't have any cornerbacks coming back. They're going to be without Denver Harris, the transfer from Texas A&M. They're going to be without Deuce Chestnut as well. Literally almost every starting level cornerback is out. Now, Deuce Chestnut and Denver Harris are basically suspended. They're basically off. They seem like they're off the team. Coach Brian Kelly talking today was basically like, well, they're unavailable for the game. And a reporter later in the press conference asked him if he would, they might be available later in the week. No, they're not playing. Emphatically, no, they're not playing. So you're turning to Sage Ryan, who's a good little player, nice recruit, but he's a safety turned cornerback, and you're turning to LaTerrence Welch, I think is what is LaTerrence Welch, yes, thank you. Ashton Stamps, Jeremiah Hughes, and Javion Toviano. I love that name. Ashton Stamps has been dealing with injuries throughout the year. He seems like he's going to be back. But you're talking about true freshmen here. You're talking about true freshmen who you were wanting to sit on the bench behind these transfers, Denver Harris and Deuce Chestnut, and who is supposed to be, behind Zy Alexander. Look, does it mean the kids can't play? No. LSU competes and recruits at a top level just like Alabama does. But what it means is the experience factor. Oh, boy, you better believe it's going to be rocking and rolling in Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday night at 6:45. You think the atmosphere for Tennessee was lit? And it was. It was lit at 2:30 in the afternoon. Give the Alabama fans another 4 hours, another 3.5 hours to pregame in the parking lots, to pregame at the quad, to pregame wherever they are, and just to get ready for the game. I think the atmosphere is going to be even bigger. Even better. I think the Alabama fans are feeling themselves just a little bit to a certain place where, Coach Saban, before the Texas game, asked for everybody to be involved in the game. And I was in the Texas game, and I was not covering it as a journalist. I was up in the rafters, really around the Texas people, and the energy was fine. It was above average. It was okay, really, but it wasn't great. And Coach Saban has asked for good energy pretty much every home game this year, but he really got a great response for the Tennessee game. And I think that maybe this is just recency bias, and it might be, but I think the Alabama fan base really realized how they can affect a game and really realized how much they can keep the team in it. I mean, you're down 13 points against Tennessee, and the fan base, one, it helps going 2 plays and a touchdown right out of the locker room. Absolutely. Credit to you, Tommy Rees. Credit to you, Jalen Milroe, Isaiah Bond, and Jace McClellan. But I think the Alabama fan base really realized, we can keep the guys in it. Alabama fans can drive the team a little forward, can push the team forward. And granted, it's the players playing. No fan is throwing a ball. No fan is making a tackle. No fan is making a block. No fan is making an audible or anything like that. But the energy, the positive belief, look, I think that is a huge factor. I do. I think that even I think it's terrible. Oh my gosh. Nothing makes me sicker than the first drive of the game. The first drive of the game, the other team gets a first down, and oh, this defense sucks. Oh, this defense is no good. And even if the first drive of the game, just like the Tennessee game, oh, Tennessee goes right down and scores. Oh, here we go again. This defense thing. No, be in it. Encourage the team. You can get to the negative Nancy in the fourth quarter when you're down by a lot of points. You got room for that. But during the fight, during the game, during the 3.5 hours, I think there's something to be really said for positive energy directed towards your own team. I see this whenever I go to Chicago Bears games. The Bears fans, as soon as one play, and you saw it last night on Sunday Night Football, and trust me, on my own couch, I was sitting there cursing the TV. Yes, I was. But as soon as somebody does something wrong, get that bleeping bleep guy out of here. He bleeping bleep stinks, yada, yada, yada. Why do we have him on the bleeping bleep team? And I do think that there's, every fan has the right to be frustrated. Every fan has the right to express themselves however they want to. You paid for the ticket. But I think that there's definitely some correlation between, okay, we're just going to encourage our team through the tough times, through the challenging moments, through the adversity, and, we're going to dog cuss our own team. Now, trust me, from my own couch last night, I was dog cussing the Chicago Bears. I was, but they can't hear me. They're not reading Twitter. They're not reading Twitter during the game. If you go to the game, if you're in the building, if you're in Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday night, be positive, be energized, be for the Crimson Tide, be for the players, even if they make mistakes. You got to help them through the mistakes, encourage them through the mistakes. I think that there's something to blind positivity in the stadium because I think that feedback really, really, really benefits the athlete. And maybe that's just my own rose-colored glasses, but like whenever I go to Bears games in person and I hear that, I'm thinking, well, guys, of course they're not going to keep playing hard if we're dog cussing our own team. Of course, they're going to be dejected and not very encouraged and not very energized if we're dog cussing our own team. Now, look, I'm never going to change the Bears fans. That's just the way that they are up in Chicago. But something to think about. Something to think about it for sure. And when adversity strikes on Saturday night, when LSU is in the building, be positive anyways. Be positive anyways. Alabama coach Nick Saban, they're going to be trying their best to put on a great product, and I really am confident. Now, maybe that confidence will shift throughout the rest of the week, and I reserve the right to have it shift. Friday, on Football Friday, I will make my official picks. Oh, by the way, did I go unbeaten this past week on Football Friday? Ooh. Unbeaten on Football Friday this past week. Yes, sir. With all of our picks. Yes. Now, granted, they weren't the toughest games. The SEC slate was fairly obvious to pick this past week, especially considering Ole Miss was playing Vanderbilt. But no, I've got to toot my own horn when it's there to be tooted. All right, so here's our keys to the game. Here's our keys to Alabama and LSU right now on a Monday, October 30th, day before Coach Nick Saban's birthday. Happy birthday, Coach. Hope you get what you want. Coach Saban talking in the Naylor Stone media room that he wanted a good performance on Saturday night. And that includes you, the fans. But more so, obviously, the 85 scholarship players have to have a good week of practice and a great performance on Saturday. All right, our keys to the game, starting fast. Starting fast is what I wrote down, number one, because LSU's offense is not going to be slow. Now, look, you give up the first drive touchdown, that's fine, and it might happen. But the deal with the first drive, the deal with the first couple of minutes of the game, you saw this with Tennessee. You've seen this a little bit with LSU. I mean, you saw it with the second drive with Ole Miss. You've seen this in a lot of games already this year. The first drive is feeling it out. The first drive is a fact-finding mission. What is the team going to go into when you go 3-by-1? When LSU goes three receivers on one side, one on the other, and only has a running back in the backfield. What does Alabama go to? What is obviously you're probably going to go to nickel. You're probably going to go to in that nickel dime package, of course. But it's a fact-finding mission. And if you bleep up, if you mess up during that fact-finding mission, you come to the sidelines, oh, crap, you're down 7-0, just like you were against Tennessee. And Coach Saban was like, oh, you know what, this pass coverage, not really working out for us. This odd front, not really working out for us. Well, why don't we go to even front? Calm down. Let everybody get their feet underneath them, make the adjustments. But you do have to start fast, especially on offense, considering the fact that LSU's defense is bad. We just outlined the injuries that LSU is going to be walking into the game with. Doesn't matter. They're still going to be rolling out. They're still going to be rolling out talented players. Jalen Milroe and the offensive line have to pick up, I think, right where you left off on 2 Saturdays ago. I think it's very, very important to start quickly on offense because, look, you start quickly on offense. Let's say Alabama takes the ball. I don't expect they will. I expect Alabama will kick if they get the option to. But if Alabama takes the ball, you work your way down the field. Even you get up, you get 3 points, 7 points. You get up on LSU. You put a lot of pressure on that offense. That is a good offense. They are. They're the best offense in the country. Look at them statistically, best offense in the country. But you put a lot of pressure on them, and they're going up against Alabama's defense, which I think is in the top end of defenses of the country. I do. And I think the secondary, especially with Malachi Moore, Caleb Downs, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Terrion Arnold, is probably the best secondary in the country. Now, maybe that's a little bit, I haven't seen every single one. Usually I only focus on looking at Alabama's opponent for that week. But I think Alabama's defense is damn good. I do. And so you put the pressure on the LSU offense. And if LSU goes 3 and out or goes quickly and punts or has a turnover, you got to start quickly on offense. Jalen Milroe, you've really had a hard time. The Alabama offense has really had a hard time starting quickly in games this year. They have throughout the entire season. You think back to the Arkansas game, you were looking at 3 and outs in a row if you didn't hit that 79-yard touchdown pass to Kobe Prentice. Now, luckily, you did, and we have to live in the reality. We live in the reality that you did hit the 79-yard touchdown pass. But let's say you took a sack there. Let's say you took an incompletion there. You're looking at three and outs in a row. And yeah, Woo Pig Sooie wasn't going to make you pay that much on that Saturday at 11 a.m. But you cannot go 3 and outs in a row against LSU. You can't. Same sort of thing with Tennessee. Tennessee, you started off so slow on offense, just incompletions, pass protection issues, couldn't run the football early. And yeah, it did get better. Obviously, it got better. You won the game and you played pretty well throughout the rest of the game. But the early part of the game, you put a lot of pressure on the Alabama defense by starting slow. You put a lot of pressure on the Alabama defense by going 3 and out. Now, I like James Burnip. I like what he's done field position-wise for this team. But starting fast, especially offensively, even if you don't score, but move the football. Move the football into LSU territory. Move the football into LSU territory. Control the clock a little bit. Let the defense have some time on the sidelines to make adjustments, to talk, to discuss what they're seeing. I think it's very important you can't go 3 and outs. You can't have quick drive 3 and outs right off the bat in the first parts of the game. Wendell Hare chiming in on the Facebook side of things. LSU will test Alabama's defense, but the key is defense in this game. If Bama's defense can stop the LSU offense, it will allow Milroe to get comfortable. Absolutely, 1,000%. You get that first defensive stop, Wendell, and you allow the cushion for Alabama's offense. But I think Alabama's offense, you can't go quick 3 and outs like you did against Arkansas, like you did against Tennessee, because you put the defense right back on the field. And LSU, they start to slowly win the field position battle, like you saw with Tennessee. And Tennessee gave it away with some dumb fourth down decisions. But I think it's very important for the Alabama offense to at least get a couple first downs early in the game. Move the ball into LSU territory. Now, ideally, you want to take it all the way down and score. You do. But you have to let the defense get to the sideline, make some adjustments before and talk in between series. I think that's going to be very important. My next big point is going to be sound tackling. Sound tackling is going to be highly important because LSU skill position players, as Coach Saban outlined earlier today, are very, very good. I mean, these guys are some of the. I mean, it's the best offense in the country for a reason. Logan Diggs, Coach Saban talked about how physical he is as a runner, and it's going to be important to get a lot of hats to the football and take him down quickly, early, and often. Don't let him get too many yards after the catch. Wendell Hare, Bama's offense has to score almost every drive to beat LSU. I don't agree with that. I think that you're going to see this Alabama defense step up and really, I said it a little bit earlier in the program, I think they're going to hold out LSU's offense to 24 to 26 points. Now, that my opinion might change as I go throughout the rest of this week. But I think the Alabama offense just needs to be patient. Needs to move the football and control the clock a little bit. Even if you don't score, don't turn the ball over. Do not turn the ball over. That's really my number 2 key to the game. Do not turn the football over and give LSU short fields. Basically, when Tennessee went for it on 4th down, they gave Alabama short fields. They let the Alabama offense that was struggling right back into the game with short fields. You can't turn the football over with LSU. You're going to need to move the ball, move the clock, get into LSU territory. Now, end every drive in a kick, whether it be a punt or a field goal. I think it's very, very important. But sound tackling, patience on offense, no turnovers, and starting fast. Those are the 4 keys that I wrote down about 25 minutes ago 35 minutes ago before I got started today. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to talk more LSU, like hammer it throughout the week. Obviously, it's the biggest game on the schedule. It's our game this week, and it's the biggest game for CBS and pretty much in all of college football this weekend. So really looking forward to that at 6:45 this coming up Saturday night in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Hope you guys will be there. If you're not going to be there, please follow us at BamaCentral. We'll have Katie Wyndham, Austin Hannon, myself. We'll have Blake Byler, I believe, and many others right there in the Bryant-Denny Stadium press box giving you on-site coverage. All right, let's move on a little bit. I got a handful of more topics for the day. We spent about 30 minutes setting up the LSU game and talking about LSU. We're moving on. We're going to talk Alabama baseball for about 4 to 5 minutes, just a couple of minutes of Alabama baseball action. I had the pleasure of being at Sewell Thomas Stadium on Saturday. Big thanks to Alex Thompson, Coach Rob Bond for hosting me there in the press box, watching the doubleheader. 2 6-inning games were played against Florida State. Alabama winning 5-3 and losing 2-0. All right, so what do we find out? What do we know? We know on the first game, first, as a whole, the Alabama pitching staff pitched pretty darn well, I thought, throughout the entire game. A couple of hiccups here and there, a couple of free passes here and there that allowed Florida State to get on the scoreboard. That was, 1 home run, I believe, that Florida State hit in the game. I think the pitching staff looks very strong through the 2 outings that I saw. I saw 14 innings against Auburn, and I've seen now 12 innings against Florida State. Riley Quick was the only one who went 2 innings. You all remember Riley Quick. He's the younger brother of Pierce Quick. Pierce Quick from Hewitt-Trussville. Riley Quick from Hewitt-Trussville as well. Those guys coming down from Hewitt-Trussville High School, former Huskies. Riley Quick, pitcher. Pierce Quick, the offensive lineman, transferred to Georgia and discontinued playing football. Georgia Tech, and discontinued playing football after a little bit of time with the Yellow Jackets. But Riley Quick, dude, he is a house. 6'6", 260. Goodness gracious, he is a big man. The Alabama pitchers really were in control throughout the day. I thought Alton Davis looked really, really good. I thought Aiden Mauser looked really, 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 really good. It was a fun day. Ben Hess, I believe, started the first game. Everybody pitched 1 inning except for Riley Quick pitching 2 innings. Biggest problem, well, not really a problem, but biggest concern was Pierce George, the transfer from Texas. He did not look nearly as dominant as he looked in the first outing against Auburn. He gave up 2 walks, but then he came back and got two strikeouts to shut down the inning. So Pierce George had a little bit of control issues. The biggest problem for Alabama was just a little bit of fielding issues. You had a couple errant throws to first base. You had a couple errant throws to first base, and you had a couple of ground balls that were not fielded as cleanly as they could have been on the infield. Now, that's things are going to happen right there. The bats in the first inning were right there. Bryce Evelyn hitting a 3-run home run to give Alabama the 5-3 lead. I think that was in the 5th inning. They played 2 6-inning games, so that was basically the equivalent of an 8th inning home run. And look, everything in the second game, everything in the second game, I don't really think you should take too much from it. If you're looking at box scores or if you're looking at results. Yes, the pitchers, I think a lot of the pitchers that pitched will be pitching for Alabama in the spring, but many, and I say this with all due respect, but many of the field position players and the batters, I think, will either struggle to make the roster in the spring or end up being very bottom end of the roster players in the spring. And that's what fall ball's for. That's what fall ball's for. And maybe I'm wrong. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not going to name any of them by name because any of them can improve throughout the next 2.5, 3 months when rosters get settled. And Coach Trav Bond can see things that I didn't see up there in the press box. Obviously, those guys have another 6 or 7 days left in fall practice. They're having a little fall World Series, inter-squad World Series to close down fall practice. So maybe any of those guys can improve, but I wouldn't take too much from that second game, as I think Coach Rob Bond was trying to get a look at a lot of the players, the bottom end of the roster players, seeing who might fit in, who might do well in live action, and trying to make some decisions based off of that second game. So you didn't score any runs. There was never really any threat at the plate in that second game. But you also weren't playing you weren't playing your ace squad. You weren't playing your starting squad. Camden Hayslip hitting another home run. That young man has power. He has crazy power. So that's 3 home runs in fall ball scrimmages, 2 against Auburn and 1 against Florida State for Camden Hayslip. And yeah, he's got a lot of power. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Now, he's probably going to hit in 7th, 8th, 9th position because he's probably going to strike out a good bit. But when he gets a hold of one, boy, see you later. I think this Alabama baseball team is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. All right, let's keep it rolling. We're going to talk about Alabama basketball. We playing basketball. Alabama basketball goes up to Wake Forest. Oh, my gosh. And those Alabama basketball loses 88-80. 88-80 after taking a 19-point lead. 19-point lead. Oh, a 19-point lead into the locker room at halftime. They were up 52-39 at halftime. Oh, my gosh. And they let it slip. Unbelievably bad. Now they were shooting 62% in the first half, dropped down to 30% in the second half. Terrible. Oh, terrible result for Alabama basketball. Now, look. It's not something to go kick the dog over. Luckily, my dog never got kicked this weekend through all the results. But no, not a good result. But not something to take too much away from. Look, you weren't playing with Mark Sears either of the first 2 games, either of the 2 games against TCU and Wake Forest. So Mark Sears is going to help out a lot. Floor general, coach on the field, or coach on the court, Mark Sears is going to help you out a ton. And a lot's going to be changed. You've seen Coach Oates for the last couple of years be very experimental with rosters and with lineups throughout the early part of the year, trying to figure out what his best lineup is. Listen to the starting lineup. He started with Aaron Estrada. Rylan Griffin, Jaron Stevenson, the early enrollee freshman, Grant Nelson, and Nick Pringle. All right, so first thing you take away is, holy smokes, that is a huge lineup. That is a big lineup. Those guys, 6'6" apiece, and some of them bigger than that. I mean, Griffin 6'7", Stevenson's supposed to be 6'10", Grant Nelson's supposed to be 6'10", 6'11", and Nick Pringle right there at 6'10", 6'11" as well. So huge starting lineup. Sam Walters coming off the bench and ended up with how many points for old Sammy Walters? 13 points for Sam Walters. Alabama was led by Aaron Estrada, 24 points for Aaron Estrada, and Grant Nelson with 11, and Nick Pringle with 13 as well. Problem is you had Estrada 5 turnovers. You had 18 turnovers in the game. And really, Alabama, you're going to be working best if you are keeping your turnovers below 12. Below 12 in the game. Now, obviously, different games are going to dictate different things. But just not a great thing. Not great to lose such a big lead, but not something that really you want to take too much away from, as preseason scrimmages are often like glorified A-days, except you're playing against other teams. I think Coach Oates does a lot of experimenting in the early part of the year. Remember, Alabama lost in a dark scrimmage to TCU last year. Lost in a dark scrimmage, won the double SEC title, got the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Yes, we're all disappointed that they only made the Sweet 16, but it was a great year. And how did it start? With a preseason dark scrimmage loss to TCU. So you had the dark scrimmage loss to TCU again. Now you've lost your second game to Wake Forest by 8 with a great lesson. A great lesson. Oh, what's going on? LaRon McClain, Central High School coach. Alabama, Tuscaloosa County High legend, Alabama legend, Baltimore Ravens legend. Appreciate you tuning into the show. I'd love to have you on as a guest, talking about the Falcons, talking about your career. I'd love to have that. That would be awesome. Oh my gosh. But back to the basketball. It's not something to cry about. It's not something to lose your brains about. Alabama's got 7 days until Alabama tips off against Morehead State. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great year. Mark Sears is going to be healthy for the start of the year, and that's the main thing. That's why you hold him out. Make sure you keep him healthy. Dealing with a groin injury. And just trying to get him back to 100% before the year starts. I think you're going to lean on Mark Sears a lot this year and give Coach Oates just a little bit of time to figure out the new roster. Look, tons of transfers, a couple of new guys, new freshmen. It's going to take a little bit of time for the basketball team, but the talent is oozing off this team. And Coach can now basically hammer in. Remember when you lost a 19-point halftime lead to Wake Forest? We cannot let that happen again. XYZ and ABC, lessons on in for Coach Oates in the preseason. And I think that's really the main thing for Alabama basketball. So excited about their prospects this year. We'll get to them a little closer to the year. November 6th. So 7 days away. I cannot wait for that. But for now, we're all focused on Alabama football, LSU. All right, 3 more topics. We'll see how many we can squeeze in here in the next 10, 15 minutes here. One, I want to talk about Colorado real quick. Okay, two-folded with Colorado. One, yes, they lost to UCLA. Get that out there. All right, they lost to UCLA. Big deal. I don't really care if you guys are big fans of Colorado or not. Sometimes I like the Deion Sanders swag, and sometimes I think it's a little too much. I do not really love how he throws his players under the bus in public, but that's his style. Obviously was talking about offensive linemen over the last week and change. Oh, we got to get new offensive linemen. We're just going to get new offensive linemen. I don't think that bodes well for the children in the locker room, for the athletes in the locker room, but you do what you do. It's got him this far. It's absolutely got him this far. And the program is far and away more successful than they have been, in the last 10 years. Absolutely. And Deion his style has gotten him this far. His kids play very good. Shedeur is a pretty damn good quarterback, I think. And his kid got unjustly thrown out of the game on the other side with a targeting call. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is what happened in the locker room. UCLA, you should be ashamed of yourselves. UCLA, you're going on the road. Colorado going on the road. And look, it doesn't matter. Don't be chewing on that. You're going on the road. And obviously, you're taking your stuff on the road. I'm going to take my cell phone. I'm going to take my wallet. I'm going to take my keys. I'm going to take, for some of these guys, I'm going to take my chain. I'm going to take my jewelry. I'm going to look good. You look good, feel good, you play good. Deion Sanders. I got nothing wrong with that. In high school, I taped my wrist up. I had me an armband. I had, I didn't have any jewelry. Couldn't afford it. It wasn't really my style. But dude, if that's what your style is, rock and roll it. No problem with that one bit. I love the coaches. I love Coach Saban taking the guys and putting them in suits on the road, wearing, nice clothes on the Walk of Champions, wearing good looking clothes, being dressed up nice. No problem with that. I love it. UCLA, you should be damn ashamed of yourselves. Somebody got into the Colorado locker room and raided the Colorado stuff, raided the players' lockers. You're taking jewelry, you're taking chains, you're taking personal items out of the locker room, and you should be damn ashamed of yourselves, UCLA. You can't have security. Look, I guarantee you, in Bryant-Denny Stadium this weekend when LSU is there, sure, they're the visitors. They're the visitors and boo, 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 but I promise you, Johnny Gump, can I go down into the locker room and steal the LSU stuff? Can I get into the LSU locker room and take the guys' wallets or take the guys' cell phones or take the guys' watches or jewelry or chains? And I don't care if you're for or against them dressing up nights on the road. It really doesn't matter. The principle of the thing is don't steal. Don't steal. Don't steal. And look, you ought to feel like, okay, I'm going on a road trip. I got my X, my Y, my Z. I got everything I need. I got my nice shoes. I got my good socks. I got my belt that I like. This is what makes me feel comfortable and ready to play a football game. I've got my water bottle that I always take. Whatever the travel list is that you have, Like, you've got it and you're ready to go. And okay, let's say the offensive line sucks and you're going to lose the game anyways. Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It is absurd for UCLA to not have the visitors' locker room secure. Now, look, you've got people on the other side who are, now, do you believe that? They're just making up a story. They're just making, no, it doesn't matter. Why would you make up a story that you were robbed? I would never make up a story that I was robbed. It makes me look bad. It makes me look a little foolish. Oh, somebody came into my house and took all my money and took all my jewelry and took all my goodies. Like, that makes me look bad. There's no reason why I would make up that story. UCLA, you should be absolutely ashamed of yourself for not securing the visitor locker room. And okay, doesn't matter about rivalry. I mean, Tennessee coming in here 2 weeks ago, doesn't matter about rivalry. When they go into the locker room, they should feel like, okay, everything that I leave in this locker, everything that I leave in this bag and I put it in my locker. I know it doesn't have my name on the locker because they're visitors' lockers. I know just as this is where we are. It's absurd. It's abhorrent. You should be ashamed of yourselves. And of course, I know Dion and his team have brought a lot of attention to themselves. And, you got the Shedeur Sanders pointing at his wristwatch after the games. I'm like, okay, fine. You can hate that if you don't. You can hate that if you want. That makes you whatever. You can be upset with that at all. But goodness gracious, to allow someone or someones to go through the locker room and steal out of the locker room is absolutely shameful. Absolutely shameful. And yeah, you can say, well, don't take that on the road. That's a terrible answer. That's a terrible answer. The problem is don't steal. Don't let anyone else into the visitors' locker room who's going to steal from that locker room. And however the story ends up, whether it be, Colorado finds all their gear, great. That's what I'm hoping for. And whether they never win another game this year or not, whether they get bowl eligible this year or not, that's beside the point. Whether Deion Sanders says, something crazy again this year, doesn't matter. You just don't steal on the road. So when LSU comes to town and UTC in 2 weeks after that, they should feel like, whatever they put in their locker room, whatever they put in their locker, jewelry, money, shoes, belts, hats, you get a nice hat, whatever. Dude, I wear about the same 5 or 6 hats when I'm out on the town, and I don't want anybody to steal it. And when I'm in the car, I lock the car and go into whatever business I'm in and come back out, unlock the car. Like, somebody should be locking that locker room. You should. Unbelievable. Subsequently, USC played a game this past weekend. USC, they played Cal, right? They played Cal, I think. Am I wrong? I might be wrong. USC, they won. They played Cal 50-49. They had a 1-point win. But the crazy thing for that game is you had protesters come onto the field before the game. I mean, come on, this is Pac-12 football. You let people into the visitors' locker room and you let them just do whatever you want. You imagine if that happened in the SEC this weekend? Alabama and LSU kicking off at 6:45. You imagine 15, 20 protesters jumping onto the field? It doesn't matter what you're protesting. Those folks were protesting the conflict in the Middle East. And trust me, that conflict breaks my heart from all sides. Death is terrible from all sides, and it's highly complicated. Oh, it's terrible. Awful. And too many kids involved, lives lost, awful. So, okay, I understand you're protesting the conflict in the Middle East. But goodness gracious, if that happened here in the SEC, whether you're protesting big oil or climate change or the conflict in the Middle East or whoever the president is or whatever the heck you're protesting, it doesn't matter. You jumping on the field at Bryant-Denny Stadium and you've got Will Reichert sitting there ready to kick off. You've got Jaden Daniels warming up on the sidelines. You've got Jalen Milroe warming up on the sidelines. Did any of y'all see the security video after the Tennessee game? The security guard taking out, oh my gosh, taking out just a patron after the game? Oh, it would be like that time. I couldn't believe they just sat there and let them sit at the midfield logo. They just sat there and let them delay the game and let them push the game back. If you don't stop chewing on that, I'm going to literally beat you on live camera, and that won't be very nice. So absolutely crazy to see, and I think that that would never happen in the SEC. Just the stark difference between SEC football and really the Pac-12. You've got Johnny who knows who walking through your locker room. Oh, this is nice jewelry. I'll take it for myself. And then you've got a Billy Protester going onto the field pregame. First off, the security at Bryant-Denny would not let anyone on the field that don't belong. And you're not going to midfield and sitting on that logo right as Will Reichert's getting ready to kick. So just two wild stories in the Pac-12. All right, last topic, Georgia, Florida. Georgia beats the brakes off of Florida. And look, Georgia's going to beat their chest and say, look, we're so good. We didn't need Brock Bowers. Yes, they're very good. They are very good. But let's all remember, Florida is not a good football team. They've been ranked throughout the year. They have been, but you get the benefit of the doubt because Florida is Florida. You get some great recruits. You beat Tennessee at home. Florida is Dr. Jekyll at home and Hyde on the road. They play well at home. They play like booty on the road. Oh, but they beat South Carolina on the road. South Carolina is horrible. South Carolina is in the bottom of the SEC for a reason. Look, you've got 3 tiers in the SEC, and our power rankings at BamaCentral have nailed them all year long. You've got Alabama, you got Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, and LSU pretty much in that top tier. Maybe Missouri, we'll find out. Missouri, how much do you test Georgia this week, might be in that top tier for 5 top-tier teams in the SEC of pretty good football teams. Your middle tier of Tennessee, A&M, Kentucky, oh my gosh, they are average as all get out. They're average as all get out. Tennessee, A&M, Kentucky. Who else am I missing? Not Mississippi State. No, not. Yeah, that's about it. Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Kentucky are pretty much in that middle tier. That gives us 8. And then your bottom 4, oh my gosh, terrible. Vanderbilt, terrible. Florida, not good. South Carolina, not good. Arkansas, Mississippi State, awful. Auburn as well, 6 not good football teams. And okay, Kirby Smart can talk about, the SEC, everybody should be ranked. Those bottom 6 teams are bleeping terrible. They're awful football teams. And yeah, I know Arkansas came into Bryant-Denny Stadium and played Alabama to a 3-point game. Yeah, congratulations. That doesn't make you good. You're still 0-6. And you still haven't really been. Look, you lost 7-3 to Mississippi State. Your first real chance. You've been in a lot of games, but you haven't won any of them. That's not a good football team. 6 bad football teams in the SEC, and I'm not really giving Georgia a whole lot of credit for beating Florida. Now, great. I mean, you beat the doors off of them. 48-20, and it wasn't close. So yes, you are still number 1 in the SEC, and you're still number 1 in the AP poll. We'll find out on Tuesday if where Georgia's going to be in the college football playoff poll. I suspect they're going to be number 1 based off just winning the last 2 national championships, and nobody has enough courage to give them number 3 or give them number 2 or give them number 4 because, they haven't played anybody. Oh, goodness gracious. So much fear when it comes to ranking these teams. Michigan, good team. Hasn't played anybody either. Cheaters. I don't know about them. Ohio State, good team. It's going to be a fun last month of the year. It's going to be a blast the last month of the year, seeing how it all plays out. Oklahoma going down this weekend to Kansas. Oklahoma almost going down to Central Florida. So it's going to be a blast seeing the last little bit of the year. Alabama just got to win. And everything else, I believe, will take care of itself. So that's going to do it for our program today. That's going to do it for our show today. We appreciate everybody watching. Appreciate everybody joining in on the comments section. James Ludeman, Wendell Hare, and LaRon McClain, Alabama football legend, LaRon McClain, Baltimore Raven, LaRon McClain, jumping in. Give me a roll tide. Roll tide right back to you, sir, and go Falcons as your Central Falcons are working their way through the rest of their year. I think they have one more game left. Have been so much better in this year than they really ever have been in my time in Tuscaloosa. So that's going to do it for the show. Thank you for watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Thanks for listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. Thanks for putting up with the dog, Abby, as she chews on whatever she's chewing on below my feet. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, at Joe Gaither 6. You can find me anywhere on any social media, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff right there at Joe Gaither 6. And I will interact with you guys as best or as much as you guys want to. Send me your comments, questions, queries, and complaints points. Tell a friend about the show. Subscribe, rate, and review. Send somebody the show that you think might like it or might hate it, and we'll have a lot of fun the rest of the week. It's LSU week. We're going to see who else we can get onto the show. We'll have Football Friday on Friday, and it's going to be a blast the rest of the week right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.